Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for joining our training. This is, let's see, which one is this? 7? I think 7 in our series of supported decision making, our series for 2022. And we're very excited that everybody is here with us. We can go to our next slide.
So I'm just going to cover a bit of housekeeping before we dive into the content today. So welcome to our supported decision-making series. This specific session has been approved for 1 social work CEU. If you are in need of that CEU, you must be on the training the entire time and fill out the evaluation that'll go out in the chat at the end of the training. If you do not need a social work CE certificate, you can also request a certificate of attendance on that evaluation. And again, that evaluation will go out at the end of the training in the chat. So while I'm talking about the chat, let's take some time to go over some Teams basics. And Rebecca, to answer your question, your cameras do not need to be on to receive that CEU. We do encourage everyone to have their cameras on throughout the training, but that is a personal choice. So some Teams features, depending on what version you have, you're going to have a toolbar at either the top or the bottom of your Teams app. An important feature is the chat. That is a little bubble with 2 lines through it that says chat. We'll be putting some information in there throughout the training, and you can also drop any questions in there, and I'll be monitoring the chat throughout the training as well. To the right of the chat, there's also a reactions button. That's a little smiley face with a hand next to it. You can raise your hand through that reaction or provide reactions, you know, thumbs up or things like that throughout the training. Next to that is a little camera and a mic icon. If there's a slash through it, that means the camera and mic are off. If there is no slash through it, that means the camera and mic are on. We do ask that you stay muted throughout the training just to cut down on background noise. And of course, you can unmute if we pause for questions. And like I said, cameras are a personal choice. You can choose to have those on or off. Just be aware that if you choose to have it on, we can see what is going on in your background. So just be mindful of that. In between the chat and the camera is a little 3 dots that says more underneath it. If you are in need of closed captions, you can click those 3 dots that say more and turn on your live captions. We are also going to put a link in the chat, and I will do that right now. If you follow this link, that will bring you to a more accurate representation of the captions. It's a person typing in captions, so they are more accurate than the AI closed captions that Teams offers. So I have dropped that link in the chat for everyone to have, and I believe that wraps up my housekeeping.
Thanks, Caitlin. Caitlin, I wonder if we made Annette a presenter, if that would help.
Oh, yes, good thought.
Just realized she's not there as a presenter.
Absolutely.
All right, well, while she's working on that, I'm Vicki Suter, the Director of Rights and Advocacy. I'm also the lead for our project related to supported decision making. We also have with us today Mary Sheehan-Bugard, who is with the Michigan Development Disabilities Council, who's super instrumental in us bringing this series to you and helping us get presenters and deciding on what topics are important for you to hear. So we appreciate so much her partnership. Her and I are both involved at the state level supported decision-making efforts as well. We also want to thank Detroit Wayne Integrated Health Network that helps us get the word out about our training series so that more people in Southeast Michigan can participate. So one of the goals for OCH and our agency, Oakland Community Health Network, is related to supported decision-making. And we do have a work group that works on our efforts related to that. And this is the work group that came up with this training series. And so we really appreciate all their effort related to this. They felt like it was important that persons learn more about the other options, the tools that are available for individuals to have independence and interdependence. So we really appreciate all that effort. Next slide. So today we're going to be talking about types of assistive technology that support community inclusion and interdependence. And our presenters today are Amy Stirk and Laura Hall, and they can tell you a little bit more about themselves when they start presenting, but they're from the Michigan Disability Rights Coalition. And next slide. And Amy, I believe this is where I'm going to turn it over to you.
Thanks a lot. Laura, I think you've got the first slide here, and thanks for having us. We appreciate it.
Yeah. So hi everyone. We entitled this presentation AT for our interdependent lives. We're going to do introductions in a minute. I just wanted to add that we're going to be describing the pictures in these slides as a means of access for folks. If you're watching the captioning, or this is a point of access, we'll be describing the pictures. So the picture in this slide is of 3 disabled people baking together. The black non-binary person on the left holds a mixing bowl, while the South Asian person in the middle mixes the muffin pan, and the black woman on the right measures out a chocolate mix. This picture and several others that are in this presentation today are from the Disabled in Here photo and interview series that celebrate Black, Indigenous people of color, or BIPOC. Can we go to the next slide, please? Okay, so just some introductions from Amy and I. Again, my name is Laura Hall. I use she, her, and her pronouns. We're from Michigan Disability Rights Coalition and the Michigan Assistive Technology Program within Mdrc. Every state has an assistive technology program, and we are it for Michigan. So I've been with Mdrc about 10 years. I have cerebral palsy, used a power chair, used a lot of AT in my life, and my role on the AT team is an AT specialist.
And my name is Amy Stirk. I use she, her, hers pronouns. I have been with Mdrc almost 20 years. I am a person with mental health disabilities and physical disabilities, and I use assistive technology in my everyday life as well. Next slide, please. I wanted to share with you a little bit about Mdrc's mission before we dig into the Michigan Assistive Technology Program and our programs and the assistive technology that we want to share with you today. So Mdrc cultivates disability pride and strengthens the disability movement by recognizing disability as a natural and beautiful part of human diversity while collaborating to dismantle all forms of oppression. Our mission is what we believe, and it's reflected in our work. And I would say the Michigan Assistive Technology Program has been at Mdrc for over 20 years as well, and we are by people with disabilities and for people with disabilities. Next slide, please. Wanted to just touch base on what assistive technology is so we can start on the same page. A lot of people think that assistive technology is only high-tech devices, but really assistive technology is any piece of equipment, software, or app that is used to help people with disabilities, including older adults, do what they want to do. So technology can make things easier for everyone, but for people with disabilities, AT opens up possibilities. And there are some examples here of low-tech assistive technology. There's a picture of a doorknob gripper. It's just a plastic piece that fits over a doorknob that may make it easier for a person with dexterity challenges to open a door. There's also a picture of a woman walking with a walker with wheels on it. Next slide, please.
So a little bit more about the Assistive Technology Program. We provide access to AT information and services throughout the state of Michigan. As we've said, we are by people with disabilities, for people with disabilities. Some of the services that we provide are demonstrations of assistive technology devices or a short-term loan of devices. So if you have something that you'd like to try out and see if it works for you, you can contact our team. We learn a little bit about you, what you're trying to do, and can help suggest some assistive technology that may be helpful for us to demonstrate. And then you have the option of keeping those devices for a short period of time to try them out in your home, see if they work long term. The idea is that we don't want people buying assistive technology that won't work for them ultimately in the end. And so the phone number, we have a dedicated phone number for our demo request line, and that is on the slide. I'll just read it quickly. It's 1-800-578-0280, and there's also a link. https tinyurl.com/matp demo request. And the picture on the slide is of our Michigan Assistive Technology logo. It's a light bulb with a leaf growing in it, and the letters MATP.
I would
Can we go
say
to the next-
that our program is federally funded and all of our services are free.
Great point, Amy. Most important point.
Thanks. Next slide, please. So we really welcome questions throughout the webinar today. If you want to put them in chat or unmute and ask them, we welcome your questions. And we will be asking a few questions during our time today too. We're kind of trying to jam a lot of information in a shorter period of time. So we have less questions that we're asking you probably than typically, but we do absolutely welcome your questions. And the picture on the slide here is of a light bulb on a black background with chalk drawing of a thought bubble around it. Next slide, please.
So just briefly what we're going to cover today, we're going to cover what it means to be interdependent. We're going to cover some AT devices for support, safety, smart devices, mental health, cooking, reminders and organizing, and also physical tasks. The picture on the slide is of a young person using ASL in a purple sweatshirt.
Next slide, please.
So this slide is what does it mean to be interdependent to you? There are some formal definitions like having community support, having family and friends and organizations, but I wanted to talk a little bit about what interdependent is. Maybe you think we should be going to the definition first that we have and then talk to the group, or?
Sure, that sounds good.
Okay, so we have a definition by a woman named Mia Mangus, who's an advocate that we really like. And she says interdependence moves us away from the myth of independence and toward relationships where we are all valued and have things to offer. It moves us away from knowing disability only through dependence, which paints disabled bodies as being a burden to others, at the mercy of able-bodied people's benevolence. We become charity cases, a way for able-bodied people to feel better about themselves, and in turn internalize our sense of being a burden, sad, and tragic. All of this sets up a dynamic where people feel like we have to be liked in order to receive basic access to live, where able-bodied people feel entitled to. It sets up a dynamic where disabled people feel like we have to be liked in order to receive basic daily access to live where able-bodied people do, and also feel entitled to receive praise and recognition in providing access. This is not access to intimacy, and this dynamic of disabled people being dependent on able-bodied people shapes so many people's lives and is the foundation upon which so much domination, control, violence, and abuse happens. The picture of this slide is of a raised garden bed. This is actually in my backyard. I like that we put this on our interdependent slide because it took a group of people for me to help get this garden going. The Assistive Technology Project helped me get the garden bed, so I was able to show people the garden bed. I needed people's help to set it up. We had creativity, like using part of my dog's crate right there in the middle as a trellis for the green beans to grow. And I also, to me, I think this is kind of my messy garden, and sometimes interdependence can be messy and it's pulling from a lot of different areas of support. But it is definitely a much better way to live, relying on other people in your community.
I love that your green beans are all holding each other up and surpassing your dog's
Yeah,
here
that's a good point. A great point.
Does
Can you go
anyone
next?
have any comments on what interdependence means to you, or ways that your life is interdependent?
So in case people are being shy, I'll go ahead and share, but you know, I think about through my whole day, I'm interdependent. And especially in my relationships, my husband and I, we have different abilities, different skills. I don't really understand how cars work. He does. He doesn't understand computers. I do. So I do computer stuff. He does car stuff. You know, he can fix things. I cannot fix things. He can't cook. I cook. So that, you know, even in my work life, you know, I can use a computer, but I can't figure out what's going wrong with it. So I rely on somebody else to help me figure those things out. So yeah, every day, all day.
Thanks, Vicki.
And while we're waiting for others, I'll mention that, you know, I have personal care attendants that are in my life that help me live interdependently. And having the assistive technology there that I have enables me to live interdependently as well. And I think sometimes we think about assistive technology as one of those things that, like, we have to wait until, you know, it's gotten to a certain point to use a wheelchair, for example, or to start using a walker. And we think about things because we're afraid of that fear of dependence. And if we're looking at interdependence and assistive technology as a way to help us get there, it's not one of those issues where we necessarily have to wait until it's the last resort or the last minute. The AT is there to help you, and it should help you to make your life easier, you know, before it gets to the point where, you know, it's absolutely necessary. I think that's kind of a myth that goes along with that independence that we have around assistive technology.
Any other comments or thoughts about interdependence? I do think it can be this beautiful, sometimes messy, like the garden, web that we have in our interdependent lives, and the AT is a part of it, and people and professionals and family and personal care attendants, but AT definitely can be a part of our interdependent lives, and what you choose to use AT for and what you choose to use alternative supports for is really important part of like making your life the way you want to make it. So thanks for sharing that too, Laura. Next slide, please. So we're going to ask you too, what is your favorite AT? And I think this is a different version, an older version of this presentation, but Laura can share her favorite AT as well. But if you start thinking about what your favorite AT is that you use or that someone you support uses, while Laura and I talk about our favorite AT, the biggest picture on here is of a dishwasher. And I have chronic upper back pain, and I really love to cook. But if I do both the cooking and the cleaning up afterwards, I am in pain. So one of my favorite pieces of assistive technology is my dishwasher, and being able to do the chopping and prep and using some devices for that too, but then throwing all the stuff in my dishwasher to clean up afterwards, so that enjoying something I like to do like cooking doesn't also have me in a lot of pain. Laura, do you want to share your
Yeah, actually, my favorite I have many, but one of my favorite AT devices right now, particularly, is the Amazon Fire TV Cube, and this is a cube that you can plug into your smart TV, which allows you to use your voice to activate your TV. So I can for example, I use streaming services, so I can say, hey Alexa, turn on Law and Order on Netflix, and up comes Law and Order. And I really like this for a couple different reasons. I can never find the remote. I'm always losing it.
Yeah.
And even if I can, sometimes TVs are mounted up high, and I always seem to have to get that sweet spot with the remote. And I just like being able to use my voice, and I'm really into the kind of things that you can control in non-traditional ways, because I can't always reach those traditional light switches or things like that. So those kind of environmental controls are really exciting. And these things can also double as alarm clocks and reminders, and they're an Alexa device, but they're also meant to help control the TV. So it has many uses. We have another picture on here of JAWS logo, which is another one of our coworkers' favorite piece of AT. This is our screen reader that she uses every day at amazing speed because she's so proficient at it. And then I think all of us are fairly attached to our smartphones. And use it in different ways. I have all sorts of apps for different things, medication reminders. I have a coloring book app that I use when I just need some time to relax. Different calendars and to-do lists and all sorts of things that you can do with apps. So I would say from our team, that's a little smattering of our favorite AT. Do other people have comments on your favorite AT?
Is there something in the chat? Oh, Alexa enabled devices like light bulbs and smart plugs, Rebecca said. Yeah. Those are so handy. We're going to talk a little bit more about those later.
I really like medication devices that help people remember to take and can identify for their supporters whether medications have been taken. I don't know how many times. I mean, that was a key piece of assistive technology that helped to keep my brother living in an apartment that he chose in the community for many, many years until, you know, as we all get older, things change and you might need more supports. But I also know, as a previous case manager, that was a piece of assistive technology that really helped people circle to feel comfortable that they were going to be safe and living more interdependent lives in the community versus living in a congregate setting. So I really appreciate those versions of assistive technology.
Thanks, Mary.
I was going to comment. Can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So my oldest daughter, Steph, she's 35, and I just love video chatting. And of course, we didn't have that when she was little, and how much I longed for it. And so we went through all the incarnations. There was something called Purple Cow, and there was Skype, it's FaceTime, and she and I can keep in contact. And she's got one of the watches, the old Dick Tracy, So we just marvel in it, and it makes us both feel safer. It makes me feel like I can talk to her anytime, just like I can with my hearing daughter. So for me and our family, video technology has opened up the world, and I appreciate it a lot.
Thanks for sharing.
Great.
Yeah.
But I love learning about all the different assistive technologies, because as we say, the robots are already here. Let's make them work for us.
Absolutely.
Right? That's right.
Thank you. All right. Could you skip ahead 2 slides, actually, Caitlin?
I love my
This one or one more?
Yeah, no, that's good.
Okay.
Oh, go ahead.
I love my smartphone because when I have 2 meetings, I can put my smartphone on for the timer.
The timers on your smartphone?
Yeah.
Yes, they are so handy. I have timers on that and on my Alexa devices. Yep.
Hi, Vicky. Hi, Mary.
Hi, Amy.
Thank you.
Amy.
Hi. you.
Well, we wanted to start with safety because a lot of times people think about interdependent lives and think of people with disabilities, including myself, as when they think about living in the community, they think of safety first, and that is definitely paternalistic, but we can go ahead and talk about safety in ways that are supportive and useful, and ways that you can control the safety in the place that you choose to live. So one thing when thinking about AT for safety is access, like who can get into the place you live, your apartment or home. You can have what's pictured here, which is a Ring doorbell where you can see who's coming and going, and you can have it connected to your smartphone, or a monitor, and keep track of who's going into your house, and even have it connected so that you can remotely unlock your home and let caregivers or friends in, or don't let them in. So there's ways of tracking access, who has access to where you live, and choosing who comes in and out. And I think, Laura, you have a door or a locking mechanism that's enabled with Alexa, right?
I do. Yeah, it's one of the well, I work with the security system actually, ADT,
Oh,
so
okay.
so they don't play well with Alexa, but
Okay.
I'm actually, now that I'm like learning more about it, I'm thinking I'm gonna forego the monthly fee and change over to one of these. And I actually just celebrated my birthday with my family yesterday, and they got me a Ring doorbell. So that's one of the pictures on the slide.
Yeah.
Looks like, so now I can see, I take public transportation, I can see the bus, and I don't have to sit there by the window all the time. So like that's one example of or just knowing who's coming up to my door before I open it. So
And you can also use assistive technology to control the heating and cooling of your home. That can be safety and health related for folks too. You can also use lifts and assist for moving around your home. There's assistive technology for that. Other things, there are assistive technology related light switches. So there are ones that are easier to turn on and off. There are ones with lights on them so you can see them more easily. You can make your cabinets more reachable to prevent falls, to be safer for your body and your body mechanics. And you can even set up the surfaces in your home so they work better for you, whether that's the height of the surfaces or the contrast. If you have a visual disability, and we have, for example, cutting boards available that are black or white, so that there's higher contrast between the item that you might be cutting and the cutting board or surface you're working on. So there's lots of options for safety. And Laura's going to talk about some more on the next slide.
Lighting can be another safety issue. We have several devices that help with lighting that you can put in different areas of your home that are maybe motion activated or can come on at a certain time, or maybe the lights turn on when you're not home so that it looks like you're home. So some different issues with safety has a safety there. Dealing with trip hazards, we have a picture of the lock lift rug gripper here. Rugs are often a trip hazard for people. I think especially when you use mobility equipment, sometimes they can get really bunched up. And so having something that can lock that kind of down a little tighter can be really helpful. Using the stove or the oven, we have devices that can help with kind of pulling the oven rack open so that you're not using your hand, and you're able to reach a little bit further with your oven mitt to pull your rack. It's kind of a push-pull device. We also have some kind of tabletop stoves that I've been getting more familiar with. I have one here called the Consori, and it allows me to make, it's very small, it's about the size of a microwave, and I can make cookies or little meals or things in there, and it's right at the level where I need it, where I don't need to use my whole oven. I can't access the entire oven and reach it anyway, and so there are things like that. Fire extinguishers, again, we talked about making sure that rugs are secured, and then smoke and carbon monoxide detectors. So on this slide, we have a picture of the rug grippers, a picture of a lighting device that's mounted on the side of the stairs that extends out so you can see while you're on the stairs. And then I always get confused about this other picture, Amy, but I believe is it the carbon monoxide or is it?
No, actually, this is only available for electric stoves, but it's an automatic shutoff device, and it cuts
That's
power to the stove if there's no movement in front of the stove for a certain period of time. So if you're like me, and thankfully I currently don't live alone, but if you leave your stove on accidentally, and it's electric, it would turn it off so as to prevent a fire. Luckily, my husband has caught it when I have left my stove on, but there are devices to use to prevent fires and cut the power to the stove if it's electric, if there's not a person in front of that motion detector for a certain amount of time. And Mary is talking about stove and oven safety is probably the second most common excuse to hear is why someone shouldn't live in the community. Yeah, so we have a lot of different options for ovens and stoves and heating food or cooking food available to borrow or to try in our demo center, because yeah, cooking and the ability to cook and make food that you choose or want, and then also to prevent fires and prevent burns and harm, having access to those devices is really important. Next slide, please. I have a picture of a smartwatch here too, and smartwatches, I think like Lori was saying that her daughter uses that even for FaceTiming now. There's so many ways to use a smartwatch as assistive technology, and they keep adding to features of what you can do, and they keep making them smaller so that you can wear it on your wrist now. Things that used to need a big computer for now can be on an iPad or even on your wrist. So if people have trouble with getting lost, or if you're blind or have low vision and want GPS like voice directions, you can use your smartwatch for that. You can use it for hands-free calls. So for some people, holding your smartphone, it is too heavy. It's a dexterity or weight issue. So being able to answer phones and take phone calls using your wrist and your voice can be super handy. There also can be a falls detection on your smartphone. So if you want it to, it can call for help for you if it notices that you have fallen. It can do the real-time navigation. You can get your text messages on it, and you can send out emergency SOS calls from a smartwatch, among dozens of other things that you can do with it. Next slide, please. So do you, Alexa, or do you have a smart speaker in your home? And what is your favorite way to use Alexa or your smart speaker? If you want to unmute and put it in the chat, I'd love to hear what your favorite way of using your smart speaker, if you have one, is. I would say we have these available for demonstration, short-term loan, and open-ended loan. If you're a person with a disability and having a smart speaker could help you decrease social isolation, we have funds to have you use that device as an open-ended loan, which means you keep it as long as you're using it. And if you no longer need it, you send it back. But if you're using it, you keep it. So that is an option in our program too. Lori, did you have a, oh, now you're muted. Now you're unmuted.
Oh, no, I was just signaling to someone to go out because I'm in a meeting.
Oh, okay.
But I did wonder if anyone else is having trouble. The slides aren't progressing along with how you are saying that like now we're seeing this picture, and I took a suggestion from you, Caitlin. I left and came back. But it's, it's no worries. I just wondered if anyone else was having trouble, because you're always so kind to send me the PDF so I can look at the pictures later, but I didn't know why, if it's just my
There's some
computer
kind
or.
of a lag. I sometimes have that when I'm on a presentation. I'm not having that today. I think Caitlin
Okay,
is
as
the
long
one
as everyone else can see
fine.
them, I'll catch up later. I'm on an iPad from my work. And
Okay.
again, technology, we love it, but it can frustrate
Sure.
us. Won't do exactly what we want, right? No worries. Thank you. I'm enjoying your speaking. Thank you.
Thanks. I think Rebecca was saying that she uses Alexa devices to control a variety of things. I know you do too, Laura. I do use it for a lot of timers and reminders. But if you go to the next slide, we'll talk about some of the other things. So whether you're Team Alexa or Team Google, there are dozens, well, there's tens of thousands of ways actually that you can use your smart speaker. Timers, alarms for waking up. There is something Alexa has now that is called the Care Hub that used to be free, but is now $20 a month, but it can let you know about a loved one's activity. Like if they don't wake up and start moving around their house, interacting with Alexa, it can give you a warning. There's a picture here of a man looking at his phone, and on the phone screen it says first Alexa activity was on Mom's Echo Show, and then it gives the option of calling or dropping in. It can provide kind of like that personal emergency response system where you can call for medical help through the Care Hub too. You can set up your standard Alexa device though just to call for help, but it won't call like 911. It will only call whoever you programmed into your device to call. You can set Alexa routines and schedules. I have a medication that I take once a week, and so I have a reminder for once a week to come up on that one because it doesn't work to put that in my pill sorter. I even have a reminder to give my dog his heartworm pills the first of every month. And then you can use it to operate your lights, appliances, thermostat, door locks. But you can also use it for entertainment. You can listen to music. You can check the weather. There are so many things that you can do with your Alexa. There's a picture here of an Alexa show, which the Google Smart Screen can do this too, where you can do a video call. And my children have used it to talk to their grandma, and we, during COVID especially, we're doing activities and having her able to see what we're doing. So there's tons of things that you can do with it.
Mm-hmm.
Next slide, please.
Okay, and a little bit more. I know we're focusing a little bit more on Alexa. I think a little bit of that is Amy and Mai's buy. We really like Alexa. There is Google Home is very similar. We have that product too. What I have found is those devices that interface with Google Home, there are not quite as many of them as there are for Alexa. And so I think in a way Google might be falling behind a little bit, but I really hope that they catch up because there's so much that you can do. So we covered some of this, but Amy was saying, you can say what's on my calendar today. I do that every day at the start of my day, or find my phone. This at least happens at least 3 times a day because I can't find my phone. What time is it? Set a timer, set an alarm at a certain time, remind me to take my medication, give the dog their heartworm pills, add something to my shopping list, or call PT to my to-do list. Sometimes I'll even just say Alexa, play relaxing dog music because it's around like 4:30 and my dog's getting a little bit frantic for dinner. And so it's just, the amount of things that it already has programmed in to think that it, can do things for your dog. It's just kind of amazing to me. So the picture on this slide is of yarns, just different colored yarns displayed in a shop organized by rainbow color.
I was going to say too, people might not be aware of this, but your Alexa screen can also do what's called show and tell. So if you have a reading disability or have a vision disability, you can say, Alexa, open show and tell, and hold an item in front of the device, and it will read the barcode and read the words on the device and fairly accurately, not entirely accurately, but fairly accurately tell you what's in your hand. So if you have cans of food and you don't know which can is the peaches and which can is the corned beef hash, it can usually read those barcodes and tell you that. I will say we're in Michigan, so it has trouble reading like the Meyer brand barcodes in cans. But if it's an item that's on Amazon, it usually does a pretty good job reading those barcodes. So there's hundreds of thousands of items on Amazon. So I have found that to be quite useful. And it could tell me, like I had 2 different creams, and it could tell me which was the antibiotic cream and which was the cortisone cream. But I've done the live demonstration of that before and had it completely fail me too. So I did not set that up today.
You can also turn on captioning with, well, not captioning, but like audio, where you can see what Alexa is saying on the screen if people have trouble hearing Alexa as well.
And I was going to show too, they even have things, they have exercise routines that she can run you through. They have music, but they even have things like, Alexa, open the magic door.
Welcome back to the winter adventure. Oh, it looks like a reindeer. He is walking silently in front of us. But he soon spots us and suddenly runs off, disappearing into the trees. We can't find him, but we do see his tracks here in the snow. Perhaps we should follow these tracks. Wait. Listen. It sounds like panpipes. Should we follow the reindeer tracks or walk toward the panpipes?
Alexa, walk toward the panpipes.
We walk through the trees trying to find where the sound of panpipes is coming from. Then,
Alexa,
suddenly...
stop. So you can do a
Okay, goodbye. We appreciate your feedback. Please leave us a review in the Alexa Skills store.
There's a whole choose your old adventure kind of story that you can do with the magic door on Alexa too. So there's lots of different entertainment things available too on Alexa. Next slide, please.
So we talked a little bit about this, but going a little bit more into detail, you can connect Alexa to some products and smart plugs in your house to help, for example, turn on the fan or set the living room temperature to 72. That's another thing. I can't reach my thermostat in my house, so I'm able to either tell Alexa to turn it down or up, or to use my the app on my phone to control the thermostat. You can tell Alexa to turn on the coffee maker or turn off the coffee maker. Again, turn on a light in a certain area, turn on a lamp. We do have a Roomba vacuum, one of those robot vacuums that are circular that follow the pattern on the floor. And you can say, Alexa, vacuum the living room, and it'll start the Roomba up. And then when you're done, you can say, Alexa, send the Roomba home. And it does take a little while for Roomba to find its home, but eventually it does. And one of the nice things that we have too is they have these virtual walls. So for example, I have a roll-in shower and I don't want the Roomba rolling in my roll-in shower. So I can put up these walls, which is kind of a barrier that tells the Roomba not to go there. You can operate a Fire Stick or a Fire TV Cube from Alexa. And like you said, operate your home security system and set up routines to do things when you get home and stuff like that. So just a lot of different things that you can do. The image of this slide is just the inside of an apartment with a bed, a window nook, plants, a rug, and decor visible. Can we go to the next slide, please?
I wanted to briefly mention just some of the AT for mental health that's available also. So you have pictured here a weighted blanket, and for some people with anxiety or sleep disorders, including my children who are autistic, a weighted blanket could really be helpful. I use one myself too with my PTSD, and we have those available to try out as well. There are also apps, like there is a picture here of a woman with stars in different places on her body that helps guide you through a tapping routine, which tapping in different parts of your body and repeating some phrases to yourself can be really helpful with anxiety. So there are apps for that. There's also a picture here of the icon for the Ptsd Coach app, which is a free app from the Veterans Administration that has a ton of different practices and resources for PTSD and for different aspects of PTSD. So you can choose on that app if you are being reminded of a traumatic event, or if you are angry, or if you are anxious, or if you are depressed, and then it suggests or walks you through a breathing exercise or a meditation exercise or a guided listening exercise. And then you can also give thumbs up and thumbs down to the exercises. So if one of the exercises is super not helpful to you, you can note that in the app so it doesn't suggest it again. And there's also a picture here of my hand with this rock in it. And this is a brain gym exercise. So this rock can be assistive technology. Passing it back and forth in your hands can be kind of like what EMDR does for you, is activating both sides of your brain in a repetitive fashion. It can be a calming activity for some people. Next slide, please.
So some assistive technology that's available for cooking are visual cookbooks. Again, smart devices can read recipes, can help you follow step by step, can show pictures. Again, we have that picture of the auto stove shut off. So those devices that enable the stove to shut off if it's been left alone too long. We talked a little bit about the tabletop ovens. I have one called the Consori. There's also one called the Tavala. I think there's another one called the June.
Yeah.
And the Tavala and I think the June even have subscription services where you can purchase the food from the company and they have a barcode on it, and it just scans the barcode and automatically knows how long to cook it. So it's a very easy way for folks to cook their own food. There are EBT meal delivery services, talking meat thermometer. That's another thing that we have in our house that I love. And then ergonomic cutting knives. They have the kind that you can kind of rock back and forth if you can't use both hands, or ones that have different grips that help you hold on to it better. And then we have some cut resistant gloves that can really help with some safety in the kitchen. So there are just a lot of different options now for cooking food, and there are the fresh food delivery services that you can get also with the meal kits that can help with cooking as well. I don't really think I would eat much healthy food if I didn't have that in my life right now, because I'm eating a lot of HelloFresh. I think in the past couple of years, this whole area has really opened up for people, all people, but especially people with disabilities.
Definitely. Next slide, please.
Sorry about that. So transportation needs are going to look really different depending from person to person and where you are and what your needs are and where you live in Michigan. We have a couple of apps that we can feature that we'll talk about that can help with AT for transportation. So there are apps like Transit. This is one that I use here in Lansing that helps track where the fixed route buses are in our bus system. Our bus system also just has an app related to their paratransit system that have apps to schedule your rides, and I really like the feature they have it now that says your ride will arrive in 9 minutes or whatever. It doesn't always arrive in 9 minutes. After that, it tells me it'll arrive momentarily, but it's helpful to at least know. There's AT like a GPS or a smartwatch while you're driving your personal vehicle or walking, so you're not having to take your eyes off the road as much. And then a picture that we have in this slide is of something called the handy bar. This is, again, it's a real low, we talked about some higher tech things, but this is a real low tech device. It's a handle that you put in the latch of your car door that serves as a really sturdy handle that you can use for getting in and out of the car. And it also doubles in an emergency as a seatbelt cutter and can break windows if you need it. So there's a couple of the options for transportation.
Next
Next
slide.
slide, please.
And just a little more with cooking and kitchen. There are jar openers. At the top left corner here is an item that kind of uses a vice grip and grips the jar and the lid and turns them opposite directions to open jars. I will say it does not work on plastic jars because it grips so hard it smooshes the jar and can kind of explode your peanut butter on you. But a glass jar, it does work on. In the top middle picture here is of a device called Steadyware that is a spoon that has a tremor cancel. They also make Liftware Level that helps hold your food, the food on your spoon level even as you move it towards your mouth instead of it kind of corrects if you have any movement disability. There's also an opening device here. It has it's a kind of a figure 8 shape. It has a beak on one end to help you open like a pop can. It has on the opposite end a little bump out that connects with an embedded razor blade on the other side that you can pull it across the top of a bag, like a chip bag, to open a bag, and it also can open jars and bottles and things. There's a picture here too on the bottom right of a woman using an oven that is on a counter and it has a side swing hinge. So if a standard oven with a door hinge that hinges out towards you would not work for your body, or if you use a wheelchair like she does, that tabletop oven with a side swing hinge can be really helpful. There's also a picture of a hand-operated chopping device here, where you put the items in the bowl of it, close the lid, and then you pull the string. So depending on your strength and how your body works, that may or may not work for you. Then there's an example here of someone chopping green onions using scissors. Scissors can be a great way to cut up things, and that might work better for you depending on your body. And then also a pizza cutter. And you don't have to just cut pizza with a pizza cutter. OTs back in the day taught me that you can cut pork chops and carrots and sandwiches and things if that works better for your body. This is an OXO, so it's got a really nice built-up handle. It's pretty heavy, so even the weight of the pizza cutter itself helps with the chopping. So there's lots of options for helping in the kitchen. Next slide, please.
So some assistive technology for reminding and organizing. We talked a little bit about some reminder apps. One of the apps that we have pictured on this slide is a screenshot from an app called I Can Plan. And what I like about this app is that you can use pictures along with audio, along with text to kind of show step by step, like how I would go and make the coffee. So you put, the water in the coffee maker and then fill scoops full, and it'll take you through step by step. The other image on this slide is of something called Script Talk. So you place your prescription bottle on top of this device, and it tells you what it is and how often to take it. Below that is a photo of a talking photo album, which is marketed toward people with visual disabilities to be able to see what pictures are in the album. But what we found is this is also can be a really good low-tech way for people to do step-by-step tasks. So say somebody has a work task and they just need, some guidance through it. You could put different pictures of that task and then combine each page with some audio to help remind that person what that picture means and what to do with that task. Another item is just this do not forget doorknob hanger, which is so much more popular than you would ever believe by people, just because it has these nice pockets where you can put things with your phone, your keys, and keep it right on their door so you don't forget things, and that has proved to be really popular. You can use your smartphone or your tablet's built-in reminders and calendars for things like medication reminders and other things, but we also do have physical medication reminders. This one is called the Med Center 31-day system. So you've got 31 days of pill boxes. One side is red, one side is green.
This is what I use at home. So if I've already taken the pills for today, I'll flip it over so the red side shows. It also comes with a very loud alarm clock that you can set, and that will keep reminding you until you hit, I think it's the green button. I kind of got rid of it a while ago because it got really, really obnoxious, but it is really helpful if you need it. And then there's a place where you can put your pill box for the day kind of next to that reminder. So those are some things for reminding and organizing. Can we go to the next slide, please? Some things for recreation. One of them is the Bar mobile app. This is an app that can be used for people with visual disabilities, but also anybody that has a print disability, which for example, I would qualify as having a print disability because I have a hard time holding a book up for a long time. And so I've been able to qualify to get the Bard mobile app through my local library. And these are audiobooks that are free. There's also the Braille and Talking Book Library. Social media apps. I think, there's a ton to use for recreation and more being developed every day. We have AT for arts and crafts. So we have a variety of on this picture. We have a variety of different art tools that have different types of handles and grips and things that can help you do art and draw and color and paint. And then one newer area that we've gotten into is e-bikes, because we do a lot of work around outdoor recreation, but we recognize that people need to be able to get to their spot where they're going to do the outdoor recreation is sometimes the barrier. So these bikes have not only a motor, but you can adjust it so that you're pedaling some and you're using the motor some, and you can adjust it so that it works right for you. But I think we have 7 of these now. Is that correct, Amy? 6?
I just am picking one more up this week. So we have trikes and bikes and recumbent bikes, and all have e-assists. And we're getting ready for winter and hunting season. So we have AT for hunting and things like that too, and camping, all kinds of different AT for people to try.
Next slide, please.
Here's some examples of some AT for some other physical tasks. So we have what's called a Versacart, which is on the chassis of a stroller. And you can use it for getting your laundry to and from the laundry room, from getting groceries. It has a little cover that can go over top of it to protect it from rain. There's some pictures of reachers here too, ones that have magnets on them. Ones with lights on them. So if you drop stuff behind the couch and need the light to be able to see what you're trying to grab. There's also a picture of a handheld shower. So being able to sit down and shower, or to get all of the body parts that you need rinsed off. Those are options for that. There's AT for just grocery shopping, cleaning, bathing, dressing, AT, and the way that you set up your home. All of these are ways that our interdependent lives can be better with home modifications, which is technically assistive technology and assistive technology devices. Next slide, please. Go ahead.
So this is just some places where you can find some of these items. A lot of these things can be found on Amazon. There are some things that are, there are some companies that specifically sell assistive technology. Places like Maxi Aids does assistive technology. The liftware that Amy showed with the spoon, that's its own company. But there are lots of places to kind of find these things, including, Walmart, Myers, and Home Depot, and your local DME providers.
I believe we send out, we have a resource guide that is going to be sent out, or is already sent out, that has the links to these. And then next slide, please. Just other resources, where to go from here. the Michigan Assistive Technology Program, we are happy to talk some more about what your barriers are and what assistive technology is available. We also have an online funding guide and can help you look for funding for your assistive technology. And then our partners at Michigan UCP, MIUCP, have the Michigan Assistive Technology Loan Fund to help funding for assistive technology. We have a website called atexchange.org where you can place used assistive technology for sale or for free, and you can look for devices for use for free or for sale. The nursing facility transition programs that your local area agencies on aging and My Choice waiver agencies and Centers for Independent Living can help purchase assistive technology for people to return to the community after living in nursing facilities. Community mental health, like yourselves, there are waivers through community mental health and supports through community mental health for accessing assistive technology. OTs, PTs, rehab engineers, aging in place specialists, and area agencies on aging are also really good resources for assistive technology. And if you get the last slide, this is our email address. Laura and I are available anytime to connect you with resources and information as well. And the picture on this slide is of cats stuffed in a box, because I do feel like we try to stuff a lot of information in the box of 1 hour. So I really appreciate your participation and your time and attention.
Does anybody have any questions?
There was one question earlier in the training that I did want to bring up. Laura, when you first, when you described the first image or did the alt text, there was a question that came in about, is there like a link to some resources about alt text that you would recommend? Or was that, I think the question, I think that they thought that the alt text was already created, or is that something when you both described the images, were you creating that on the spot or have thought of it before, or was it pre-made when you got the image?
Well, the ones that we had in the very beginning, a few of these that we mentioned are from that Disabled in Here, and they provide their own image descriptions.
Okay.
That was the one of the person that was baking with the oven, and also the one of the person using ASL. I think so. Those were the 2 photos from Disabled in Here, and the rest of them, we come up with the image descriptions. We just find that it's more accessible for everyone when you can describe the pictures. Not everybody is thinking and learning the same way, and so, you know, we try to put some thought into that. But yeah.
Well, the very first picture on the front of the presentation was Disabled in Here as well, and they did provide that description.
Yes.
Okay, fabulous. I did put the link for Disabled in Here in the chat for everyone to have, so thank you.
Yeah.
Great job, Laura and Amy. Thank you so much. It was very informative, and yes, the cat image was very humorous. Stuff so much in this presentation. So let's just get folks wrapped up. Next slide. So just a reminder, if you want social work CEUs, do need to complete the survey. Even if you don't want the CEUs, completing the survey always helps us as we provide additional trainings. Next slide. We have 2 more sessions in our series. In September, we're going to be talking about supporting people through the guardianship termination process. So Mary, over the last year or so, has been getting many calls from individuals saying, how do I get out of guardianship, or we don't think it's needed anymore. How do we go about doing that? And then in October, we're hoping to be able to, the state-supported decision-making work group's been working on a toolkit that's bringing all these resources together into a toolkit for individuals to have. So we're hoping that we will have that completed and be able to present that in October. We're still working on that as a group as best as we can, and it takes a lot of time and effort to do that, but we're excited that we'll be able to provide that to individuals. Next slide. Where can you find these trainings? We do record all of them. You can find them on our website at oaklandchn.org. You can click on resources, then recorded training. And if you scroll down to supported decision making, you will see the sessions that we did in 2021, as well as all the sessions we did in 2022. Usually takes us about 2 weeks to get up the current session. Next slide. Thank you, thank you, thank you for attending our training. And Mary, do you have any last words you want to say?
No, just thank you for the presentation. It was wonderful.